Dreams. What the fuck are they? I sit in on the cinema of my subconscious and exist in alternate simulations every time I close my eyes. But I keep waking up in this reality, so it's the only one I trust. Surrealism is a style of art inspired by dreams. It taps the absurd corners of the psyche where logic goes to die. A general rule for good storytelling is that story beats should lead into each other. X happens, therefore Y happens, therefore Z happens. Surrealism takes that general rule and tosses it out of the window. The Y is no longer important. X happens, then Y happens, then Z happens. Stories are told by bizarre images, swimming through a stream of consciousness, where the linearity of time is dilated, causes and effects are skewed, and events flow unpredictably.
यदि एक ओम 17 बरस का तो एक प्रकाश वर्ष में कितने ओम?
Out of course!
The classic It Was All a Dream story, which has inspired a lot of surrealist art, is Alice in Wonderland. The rabbit hole sequence has become the surrealist equivalent of a chase scene. Alice spots the white rabbit, enters a narrow tunnel, and tumbles down the rabbit hole, where she floats through darkness and light, encountering reflections, clock chimes, and the world turned upside down. The rabbit hole is the liminal space in which dreams exist, in between the two states of awake and asleep, fantasy and reality, conscious and unconscious. The most popular dream movie in the last 15 years is Christopher Nolan's Inception. But even though most of Inception takes place inside dreams, it doesn't really feel like a dream. Everything makes too much sense. The characters are introduced too well, their motivations are clear, and their actions flow logically from one another. The purpose of the spinning top totem is to keep the audience guessing about which plot beats are happening in reality versus in a dream, making for an entertaining mystery and a thrilling action movie, but not a weird, inexplainable dream.
It's the greatest showtime!
The original movie upon which Inception is based is surrealist as fuck. Paprika, the 2006 Japanese animation directed by Satoshi Kon, is an onslaught of phantasmagoric imagery. It unleashes a torrent of colors and shapes and sounds, woven into a story so absurd and hilarious, it's like the most fascinating dream you've ever had. The iconic parade scene is a sensory avalanche. In 90 seconds, it portrays a street of taxis, suicide, consumerism, worn tires, political corruption, technology, mega temples, blood, liberty, parodies of utopia, dying literacy, artificial sweeteners, and antidepressants. It's a parade of terror, a parade of commodities, a parade of lunacy. As the filmmakers called it, a parade of everything under the sun. But the writing is not overindulgent. The kaleidoscopic shower is very intentional in its progression, in its foreshadowing, world building, and emotional development. You may not always know exactly what's going on, but you feel vividly the foreboding and restlessness and guilt and fear and love as you follow along the character arcs. Paprika's rabbit hole sequence, for instance, does a terrific job building up tension. Chiba-sensei picks up a picture of a girl, or is it a doll? The doll is looking at her from behind the cupboard. Paprika phantoms for a second as the guardian at the threshold, issuing a warning, but Chiba-sensei ignores her and descends down the ladder, into a corridor, through walls stale with children's scribbles and drawings, and follows the butterfly into the light. On the other side is a roller coaster. No, an abandoned amusement park. The doll's calling from the toy train. Oh no, wait, there she is in the middle of the stairs, below the butterfly. You're almost there, you've almost caught up to her. What is she here for? What is she trying to tell you? Where is she leading you? And then you're falling. No longer in the dream, but maybe in a new one.
かぐわしき脂肪分は市場のランチ。ごっつん。ややスパイスに不足。欠如はパプリカ。
One theme Paprika unravels especially beautifully is identity. The contradictions between asleep and awake personas, between interior and exterior, self and body, childhood and adulthood, mind and matter. Doppelgangers is, in general, a favorite trope of surrealist art. The two worlds duality created by dreams intuitively translates into a duality of two personas and the subsequent explorations of fragmented identities. Who are you in your dreams? What parts of yourself do you kill when you wake up?
非人間的な現実世界にあって唯一残された人間的なるものの隠れ家、それが夢だ。
The dialectic of exterior and interior, public and private, revealed and hidden, is hauntingly portrayed in a rape scene. I don't usually find art which can effectively communicate the experience of rape, but Paprika's attempt was pretty fucking insane. The puncture of penetration, an unwanted exterior intrusion forcefully making its way through the resisting interior. The pain, the fear, the violation, and the shattering. This is my subjective response to the scene, and with something as brutally violent as rape, it makes sense that the scene would elicit different reactions depending on the person watching. But for me, this is the only artistic representation I've come across which resonates with what I understand of rape. A maternal family figure present at the aftermath of a rape is burdened with consoling the victim. She may offer a perspective about the body being a mere vessel, that transcending sensory experience is the path to liberation from suffering, and add advice on detaching from material reality. A dissociative death, what many mean when they say spiritual enlightenment, to escape the pain, and with it, the fear, the guilt, and the shame. But we can't do it. We can't attain such an enlightenment as long as we continue to be human. Even in the deepest recesses of our mind, or the subconscious realm of our dreams, we cannot accept hierarchical dualities that advocate mind over matter, spirit over body, and escape into our ideas to avoid the material world. Because we're not a product of binaries, but of dialectics, of the elastic tension between opposing forces sustained by contradictions. When rape takes place in an organized context, like a communal riot, then it is a political attack. The woman's body is a site of political messaging because it is considered a marker of honor for an entire community, family, or nation. Its defilement is intended to humiliate the enemy. Dishonoring the woman is dishonor of the community, a challenge and insult to the men of the community who could do nothing to protect the honor of the woman, that is, the community. The rape has an element of performance. It is a spectacular ritual, a ritual of victory, the defilement of the autonomous symbol of honor of the enemy community. There is a surreal parallel between the way we talk about body and the way we talk about land. The piercing of the skin, the penetration of the body, the breaching of borders, the invasion of a land, all are perceived, mythologized, and psychologically interpreted as a violation. An intrusion from the outside, maliciously and savagely transgressing a border and forcing its way through what is inside. Whether it is called love or lust or accumulation or ownership, the purpose is acquisition and consumption of territory, minerals, slaves, and female bodies. Simultaneously, the female body, which bears the brunt of reproducing the community, becomes a site of moral panic. In a Brahmanical patriarchy, it is even more crucial to control the sexuality of upper caste women because they are gateways, entry points into the caste system, with intercaste relations having the potential to upset the entire order of caste purity, succession, land distribution, and the hierarchy of power. We see the language of this moral panic splattered all over our political rhetoric. The Hindutva story is based on an obsessive fear of this Muslim other, penetrating Hindu land, desecrating Hindu culture, raping Hindu women. They will steal your wife's Mangal Sutra and your sister's marital gold, which are no longer commodities but a symbol of the woman's self-respect. Body lands are connected in many indigenous cultures. In the Dominican Republic, for instance, the two are perceived as having a reciprocal relationship. Bodies carry memories of the land and the land of the bodies. Memories of migration, colonization, pillaging, captivity, degradation, displacement, oppression. But there are also sites of struggle, resilience, and celebration. In fact, the only such possible sites. Our dreams open up wonderlands so we can imagine alternate possibilities, but the realization of these possibilities is a project for our waking selves. I enter surrealities every time I close my eyes and escape into my mind, but I keep waking up in this body land, in this materiality.
एक दो तीन चार छः हाय सपने देखे जन्नत के पर मिट्टी में मिल जाए फूके रे घर बार की दुनिया को बोले गुड बाय चढ़ जाए हाय अल्लाह जिसको भी ये बुखार तौबा तेरा जलवा तौबा तेरा प्यार तेरा इमोशनल अत्याचार
दिल टूट रहा है या जल रही है दिल टूट रहा है या जल रही है I say to baby oh my bride pop 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 नित्य है संसार माया है संसार नित्य है संसार माया है संसार.
Kamal Swaroop is generally considered to be the pioneer of Surrealism in Hindi cinema. He collected a sandbox of playthings which feel like fever dreams, Bollywood musical sequences, the Hindu religion, and the setting of Pushkar Ajmer, and created Dar-b-Dar.
उस काया परिवर्तन की टिक-टिक घड़ी जब मेंढकों ने पहनी थी घोड़े की नाल जहाजों में किया था सफर ढूंढे थे नगर जहां सांपों का डर नहीं था उस काया परिवर्तन की टिक-टिक घड़ी जब अंगूठे पर छपा था भविष्य पुराण टैटपोलों ने प्रश्न किए थे किसी अकल की क्या वजह है किसी शक्ल की क्या वजह है क्या इस दादुर की हरी खाल के भीतर किसी टैटपोल का मन बसा है.
Dar-b-Dar is a story told by images with dialogues of nonsense poetry. It's just a deeply unserious film. When I showed it to a friend, his review was, "It changes so fast, it's like watching reels." It's really memey like that. After the first few minutes of sheer bewilderment, you kind of just have to give up and indulge this hilariously absurd spectacle.
सन 22 की बात है जब मनुष्य पलटी का नया दौर शुरू हुआ था. बरतानिया सरकार की फाइलों में लोग नए दर्जे से शामिल हो रहे थे. मेरे दादा यात्रा की हड़बड़ी में ब्राह्मणों के डिब्बे में चढ़ बैठे. विदाउट टिकट जाने के डर से साल भर में सूख कर मर गए.
Good surrealist art is able to achieve this kind of effect only because it is very intentionally crafted. A kid wearing a takya recites Hanuman Chalisa with Sham ki namaz in the background. Interpretations of Kundali are followed by chantings from biology textbooks. Om's Babuji signs off as a freedom fighter, a caste hybrid one. All these words and images are carefully juxtaposed to highlight contradictions. Every beat may feel like a self-contained shot, but the whole thing is woven together into a kind of dream.
अरे पागल, सपने भी कभी सच हुआ करते हैं. सपनों का तो मतलब ही उल्टा होता है.
The whimsically vaporous song Terrorist Tadpoles is full of this kind of strategic linguistic anarchy. Oh hum yogi, oh hum bhuktogi, is a paradoxical motif that builds up all the way through the climax of the film. The burning question presented at this pivotal moment is, in this era of consumerism, what message of spiritual fulfillment does the paste of teeth known as promise offer? What business of faith does this brand of toothpaste supply? Does it guarantee minty fresh breath with a side of divine salvation? Is this the long-awaited, dream-born solace, the strain of opium that will finally numb and soothe the hollow shell carved out by neoliberal hyperconsumerism?
हम खरीदेंगे नहीं तो वो बेचेंगे क्या? सांसों का असहयोग आंदोलन हम खरीदेंगे नहीं तो वो बेचेंगे क्या? हमारी मांगे हैं स्वर्ग पुष्कर जी में साल भर रहे.
We don't buy things just because capitalists are that good at making stuff. If they were, we wouldn't need an industry dedicated to advertising how great their products are. We buy things because we live in an era of manufactured faith that the next purchase will transcend your alienation, heal your depression, resolve your loneliness, and finally pacify the persistent sense of lack. But that void is bottomless, and you won't be able to buy yourself out of it. The promise of capitalism is a lie, a phantom, a dream. Maybe a seductive one, but a dream nonetheless. We know why this lie is repeated with such vigorous certainty. Capitalism is built on contradictions which cause the system to go into crisis, urging it to transcend into something new. But the capitalist fears such a revolution. He is incentivized to continually postpone the crisis. He desperately needs us to be in a loop of infinite glutinous consumption so that the system can continue to survive, so that it can continue to oppress.
Why did Brahma ji break his promise? हम उस लोक उड़कर जाएंगे जहाँ जीव सांसों से मुक्त है. ठेला ठेला पुष्कर, गांव गांव जनरेटर. ठेला ठेला पुष्कर, गांव गांव जनरेटर.
And so it weaponizes the dream. It converts the escape from materiality into an addictively numbing drug, the never-ending shopping spree. Are you isolated from community and living through an epidemic of loneliness? Is the futility of the monotonous work-leisure routine and the loss of third places getting to you? The commodity is here to help. All you have to do is just keep buying. The key to capitalism's staying power lies in the fact that this ultimately satisfying object doesn't exist. It's just another of the many ridiculous and cruel contradictions of capital. The capitalist will end up selling us the rope, which we will use to hang him. Since we're on the subject of addictively numbing,
抑圧された意識が表出するっていう意味では、ネットも夢も似てると思わない？
even back in the digital ghost town of the 1998 internet, when the latest developments were blinking cursors and under construction GIFs, there was a nascent eeriness surrounding the duality of the real and the virtual. Serial Experiments Lain saw the writing on the wall and exploded it, capturing the uncanniness seeping out from behind the computer wires in a psychological horror story that is set in the liminal space between the online and the offline. The story has a particularly amusing play on the white rabbit trope. It is Lain's friend Alice who introduces her to the Wonderland of the Wired. Basically, it's 13 episodes of Lain's nightmare-fueled internet rabbit hole, featuring drugs, doppelgangers, rumors, society, and God. Okay, but I have to talk about the doppelgangers though, because there's just so many of them. We're all a little different online. The protocol of online interaction shaped by social media demands that we carefully curate our various internet personas. It's a very dissociative kind of existence, fracturing our sense of self into a string of alter egos. This dissociative feeling is echoed by Lain's many doubles, manifesting out of the anxieties caused by a hyper-connected world. As her identity crisis deepens into a schizophrenic spiral, she begins to find increasing comfort in the internet over the real world.
Wired はあくまでも情報を伝達し、コミュニケーションするための空間、リアルワールドと混同してはいけない。
But it feels intuitively dishonest to say the internet is a mere tool, just a medium of communication. The relationship between people and technology is reciprocal. It shapes us as much as we iterate on it. We don't go online with a detached sensibility that a worker engages with the tool. We exist here. We feel here, connect here, live here.
違うよ。
え？
そんなに教会ってきちんとしてないみたいだよ。
It is a sight of an omnipresent gaze which lays bare our state of constant performance and enhances the stage fright that comes with the territory. But we also crave this audience, their recognition and their validation. That's why we're compelled to obsessively document every aspect of our life, lest it starts to feel like it's all just a dream. The central conflict in serial experiments is the blurring of the two worlds. The antagonist's ultimate evil plan is to fuse the real world into the wired and reign as the god of the new world. It's a trope straight from the surrealist playbook, the erasure of the border of separation. The stylistics of eerie horror kindles the looming fear that accompanies this kind of violation. If the two worlds are merged, which one dominates over the other? Which one is subsumed? Internet over reality, mind over matter, consciousness over body. The villain in serial experiments is quite reminiscent of the Zuckerberg-esque tech bro, drunk on the power that comes with the capital to make technological breakthroughs and actualize science fiction. The time between era-defining technologies is shrinking. It used to be the steam engine that defined a century, then the internet that defined a generation, then the smartphone that defined a decade. Now we've got a new next big thing every year: the metaverse, the Oculus, cryptocurrency, Neuralink, AI. But the name of innovation is only evoked to shroud the fact that we're getting increasingly alienated from the cities in which we grew up, from the interactions which shaped our personalities, from our thoughts, those shapeless, dreamlike floaters in the imagination, which we now instinctively condense into 280 characters and splatter all over a platform that is a beta billionaire brat's temper tantrum. There's too much credit given to AI, for instance, for things that have been fucked up for years before. Lost jobs, unpaid artists, and fake news existed long before AI and will continue long after it's replaced by the next big thing. But arguably worse are the acolytes who worship AI as the messianic answer to all of humanity's problems, an evolution on the road to transhumanism. But artificial intelligence cannot resolve the crisis created by the political economy. AI will not stop the violence of poverty. It won't feed the hungry or make medicines affordable. AI is neither programmed to destroy the world nor to be humanity's salvation. It is programmed to create a commodity that generates capital. Surrealism harbors the aesthetic potential of all our dreams. It harnesses the form of bizarre visuals and linguistic anarchy to play in the space in between and reveal the dialectical nature of contradictions. Its absurdity shocks the audience into a conscious questioning of their comfortable assumptions. Surrealism is, in fact, surprisingly effective at untangling reality. Every single one of the art pieces referenced in this essay was lauded as being ahead of its time. But why don't we see surrealist art like this anymore? The most recent film I talked about in this essay was 2010's Inception, and that was to illustrate what something unsurreal looks like. It seems like the cultural zeitgeist has shifted. Surrealism just doesn't work the same way anymore. The private, interior unconscious has been raped and colonized like an indigenous body land. Our hidden world is haunted by desire. Fetishes, sexuality, and identity are no longer the underbelly of the psyche. They are now packaged and sold back to us by Amazon. Society is constituted by the direct appeal to continue to satisfy desire endlessly. The commodity is the only one who's always there for you. Just remember to keep buying. Internet rabbit holes are not whimsical adventures to strange and wondrous dreamlands, because they are carefully designed by algorithms whose goal is to keep you in the liminal space forever, lost in the dream, unable to wake up. It is no longer Alice who is the active agent, but Wonderland. We sit in a single spot, hypnotically scrolling a screen, unable to look away as 90-second audio visuals continually pass us, like express trains on their way to some distant terminus. We are static, they are dynamic. Surrealism doesn't work the same way anymore because it is no longer scandalous. The contrasts from a cute cat video to bombs dropping over Gaza's hospitals to ads for skincare products don't shock us. The experience of an absurd dream or a drug-induced trance doesn't mean anything anymore because we constantly live and breathe it. We scroll it. The literary technique of surrealism has lost its progressive potentiality. I guess I'm saying surrealism is dead and advertising has killed it. This is not a funeral though. Art is a reflection of a world constantly in motion. It is the pulse of the people, and so it beats to the drums of people's movements. As the rhythm changes, the song changes with it. And the surreal can't truly die any more than we can stop having dreams at night. It'll hang around here like a ghost, inhabiting different aesthetic bodies and peeking out of the subconscious at unexpected times. The surreal, defined by uncertainty, disturbance, and contradiction, will always resist hegemonic logic. It will always be a vision of protest.